again, everyone, and thank you for being present on our Monday morning momentum call. I and thank you, Mr. Chairman, for handing off. I don't think I'll take a bunch of time on updates right at this moment because we have a guest this morning who is no stranger to us, who's actually been on our call before, but State Representative Ron Reynolds, who is also the chair of the Texas Legislative Black Caucus, is here with us to provide an update for this year's legislative session. I don't think there's any question that every year or every session we say this is the worst session ever. I think this year really earns the title. This is going to be the worst session ever. But I think with the guidance of our friend Representative Reynolds and his colleagues in the Legislative Black Caucus, we have a chance to salvage something out of this ongoing legislative session. So without further ado, I'll introduce for this morning an old friend of ours, a battle-tested warrior on behalf of Black-owned businesses, State Representative Ron Reynolds, Chairman, Texas Legislative Black Caucus. Thank you.
So first of all, I'm excited to be chair of the Texas Legislative Black Caucus. This is my 7th term in the Texas House, and I have been proud to work closely with TAAACC since, as Charles said, since really my first term. And the reason why is because as a small business owner myself, I understand the significance of entrepreneurship, small businesses. I understand that we need an advocate in an organization like TAAACC to be that voice, just like the Texas Association of Business, the Chambers of Commerce for mainstream corporations, they have a voice. Well, this is our voice. And I know that Charles has done a phenomenal job leading this organization, and certainly Matt Houston, Jim White, and a lot of Courtney Johnson Rose. We've had great leadership, Jim White. We've had so many great leaders in this organization. And I want to just at the outset say thank you to the leadership of TAAACC for being bold, unapologetically Black. And so let me start my comments by saying that the state of Black Texas is, there's some good and some bad and some ugly. And the good is, Texas has the largest number of African Americans in the country. We're number one, and we need to boast about that. We need to be proud that there are more African Americans in Texas than any other state in the United States of America. All 50 states, we're number one, and that's something to be proud of. Our diversity is our strength. We have Black mayors, Black county commissioners, state representative, congressmen, state senators. Only 2. We're underrepresented, but we have representation, and we have some growing representation. That is the good. The bad is not enough African-American businesses are getting contracts in Texas. When you look at the disparity studies, we typically fall at the bottom. And that is despite the large number of African-Americans. That's despite having businesses that are competent, capable, and qualified to do the work. So that is bad. There's no sugarcoating that. We have the 9th largest economy in the world, not the country. Texas has the 9th largest economy in the world, the globe, right? So there's no excuse why African Americans continue to be at the bottom of the barrel. That is unacceptable. And the ugly is you have Governor Abbott and the Republican leadership trying to make it even worse with this nonsense of ending diversity, equity, and inclusion in colleges and universities. And that's a slippery slope. That's just the beginning for the dismantling of MWBE and HUB programs. I guarantee you that this is the start, not the end. And so we have to be in this whole anti-woke agenda that Governor Abbott is having in Texas and Governor DeSantis in Florida. They're in a contest to see who can be the most MAGA extremist to position themselves for possible presidential run in the Republican primary, and we are the bait. We are the pawns in their political game to appease their base. You know, you start out by ending, teaching accurate history about slavery through this nonsense called critical race theory. And now you have this, quote, anti-woke agenda. You have the elimination of DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. So it's a slippery slope. And I say all this to say we need to be on guard. We need to be on point. We need to flood the Capitol on Black Business Day at the Capitol by TAAACC. I want to see us show up in large numbers so we can make our voices heard. We can't be quiet. You get no points for not saying anything. Silence is complicity. So we need to speak truth to power. We need to roll up our sleeves and get ready to fight for our livelihoods, fight so that we can maintain these programs that we're just starting to get some minimal benefits from. These recent disparity studies show that African Americans are just barely cracking in the door. We certainly haven't cracked the glass ceilings. We certainly haven't received our lion's share according to population of contracts and the government spend. And so we need to continue to advocate, not just for hub participation in MWBE, because that's global and that includes white women, but we need to be specific when we say African American businesses. That is something that we shouldn't be ashamed to say. We need to be specific about that when we're looking at those numbers in the hub. Where are the African American numbers? Where's the African American spend? And we need to be intentional about that. And so as chair of the Texas Legislative Black Caucus, that certainly is one of our top legislative agendas. And we are greatly honored to partner with TAAACC. We even have office sharing with TAAACC. And so we are inextricably intertwined. And I'm looking forward to continuing to work with you and your leadership so that we can be a voice for the Black businesses in this state. I want to see more millionaires. I want to see more billionaires. It shouldn't just be Robert Smith, right? I'm proud that we have a Robert Smith, but I want to see more success stories from Texas. And I don't want to just hear about it in Georgia or New York or California. I want to see more success stories from Black-owned businesses in Texas. So anything that I can do, anything that our caucus can do, I'm committed to seeing it through. I'm committed to meeting with the comptroller, who is the overseer of the hub department, the governor's office, the lieutenant governor's office, the speaker, using whatever political capital that we have to be bold and unapologetic in our advocacy for Black businesses. So I will be presenting a resolution for Black Business Day at the Chamber. I'm looking forward to recognizing you all in the gallery. I'm looking forward to highlighting you all as we come celebrating our 50th anniversary of the Texas Legislative Black Caucus, April 2nd through the 4th. I encourage you, as Charles O'Neill said, to attend. We're going to have breakout panels. We're going to have people from across the state and think tanks. And I want to use this to galvanize and to make sure that we're all on the same page. We have people from the NAACP, Urban League, different HBCUs coming. So it's a great day to come and network. Certainly, this is right after Black Business Day at the Capitol. So we want you to come back. There is no reason why you shouldn't be here at your Capitol. So with that, Matt, I want to yield to any questions, any comments, anything that I can, anything that you suggest that I can do to help you all to further your business, to further interject in the state, a strong hub participation, but particularly supporting Black businesses here in Texas. And with that, I will open, I'll send it back to you, Matt or Charles, and then we'll go from there.
Thank you, Representative Reynolds, for taking your time out. We do have, I would like Charles and I to open it up to ask a couple of questions. Specifically, as Charles has been there since the beginning of the legislature, and I want I want both of you all to kind of discuss the spirit, if you will, in the halls. But also, I would then open it up to the chamber leaders across the state. Charles.
Well, thanks again, Matt. One thing that I would like to kind of flesh out is very clearly we're a business advocacy organization, but chambers represent civic leadership in the communities that they serve. And it's kind of disturbing to me and distressing. We've had this conversation. It does not seem like we're on battle station. It does not seem in the communities that I visited that we're being alert to what's really happening to us in our state government. And one, have you seen the same thing? And two, what do you believe are some of the possible solutions that could be implemented in the short term? Certainly, we got some long-term objectives, but right now, we got real problems with our state government.
We do, Charles, and this goes to Matt's point too. I'll be able to answer it by addressing it both. By the climate is anti diversity, equity, and inclusion. Those are straight from the governor's mouth. That's from leadership. So it is not a great climate right now. You see a rollback of many of the protections that our forefathers and this organization and others who paved the way, whose shoulders we stand on, they sacrificed for it, made good trouble for it. We see an erosion, right? So instead of making progress and going forward, we're going backwards. And so I think the atmosphere and the climate is certainly not positive. And I'm just being transparent and real. I'm not Debbie Downer. I'm a eternal optimist, but I want to be real when I tell you that the folks here in Austin are not doing us any favors, right? And what did Frederick Douglass say? Power concedes nothing without a demand. It never has and it never will. So we need to demand our fair share. We need to be bold and unapologetic about our ask. We don't need to go in timid. We don't need to go in, tail between our legs. We need to say, hey, look, if you want Texas economy to continue to be vibrant, if you want it to be stronger, then we need to support these Black-owned businesses. We have a look at our market share, look at our spend. And so we need to be able to argue our point from a position of strength. And that's why it's important that it's not just Charles and Matt coming here. We need to come here in droves. It was good seeing Matt and Charles here not long ago. Last week, I believe you guys were here. But we need to see more of your faces. So please come on Black Business Day at the Chamber. Come in big numbers so that we can show that we are engaged, that we are aware, and we are watching. And so that the squeaky wheel gets the oil. And that is so important that our businesses come to your capital. I don't know if you think it's more important to go to DC. It's not. It's local. This is where the sausage is made. And so we need people here on Black Business Day, and we need people here for Texas Legislative Black Chamber Conference. Now, I'll say this. We need to re-energize people. There's a lot of apathy, and I get it. I mean, if you've been in business and you have been overlooked by the state and when it comes to contracts and you bid and you come up short, I get it, why you would be frustrated. And sometimes it's easier for just to throw in the towel. But I'm asking that you double down on your efforts and you don't give up, and that you continue to stay engaged, stay in the game. The only way that you lose is if you quit. That's the only sure way that you're not going to win, if you throw in the towel. And in many regards, that's what they want us to do. And I take the opposite approach. I take the approach that a setback is a setup for a comeback. And I'm asking everyone within that can hear my voice, to make sure that you re-energize yourself with TAAACC, and that you get others that are not a part of this great chamber to be a part of it, because we're only as strong as our weakest link, for one, and there's strength in numbers too. So the larger we are, the more people we have engaged, the more people that are showing up and showing out, the more people that are present, that are willing to travel, the more people that are willing to meet with their state representative and their state senator, write the governor, the lieutenant governor, the more position of strength that we have. When they don't hear from us, they just like we're not there. So that is why I'm here today to ring the alarm bell, to say, yes, it is troubling here in Austin. It is troubling in Washington, D.C. But the only way that we can respond to it is by fighting. When we fight, we win. When we, even against the odds, so that is really what my message is today, is that we need everyone to get back in the trenches. I know, don't grow weary in well doing, and to make sure that you get the word out to others that should be a part of this association that is not. Membership has its privileges, and it's unfortunate that so many of that are doing the work, others benefit from it when they're not doing any of the heavy lifting. So we need to spread the workload, so that no one has to carry more than their fair share. And certainly that's my message today, to take back to people who aren't on this Zoom today, that we need you. Your presence is needed more now than ever. And to Charles's point, this is a rough session, one of the roughest that we're going to encounter with the climate. And last session was tough. This session is even tougher.
Thanks, Chair. And I just wanted us to reemphasize that, because it is very easy for us to become complacent, because there's so much that are on our plates. So this message, this 15 minutes is golden. We are recording this so that each chamber can disseminate this out either through our Facebook page, or if they want to embed this in their newsletter, they can do so in a day or two. And so thank you for those words. All right, I will open the floor up for any questions from any chamber leaders for the chair of the Texas Legislative Black Caucus, Ron Reynolds.
Matt, did we introduce everybody? Number one, so Rep will know who's on the call. Number one.
Perfect. Yeah, let's do that. Representative Reynolds. So every second Monday of the month, chamber leaders have a roundtable. It's not official. It's not an official meeting. We don't go through our official parliamentary procedures, but we just want to be able to connect. So that we can have members from larger chambers, members from smaller chambers kind of interact. And so we'll start with the letter A. I believe we have Abilene, the president of the Abilene Black Chamber. Would you mind introducing yourself? And then once you finish introducing yourself, send someone else that's on the call so that they can introduce themselves.
Oh, okay. Good afternoon, Representative Reynolds and everyone else. My name is Dee Moore, and I am the current president of the Abilene Black Chamber. And definitely want to say thank you for sharing your information with us today. It was quite beneficial. And when you say the climate, we definitely understand. Our leadership in Texas is not the best, and they are definitely out to get us. So I will move on, and I'll send it to Lorenzo. You look like an interesting person. I'm sending it to you.
Well, thank you. So my name is Lorenzo Hayes, and I'm with the developing Brazoria County Black Chamber of Commerce. And just like Abilene said, thank you all for the opportunity. It's always a pleasure to hear you, Ron Reynolds, and everybody. I do have a question. As far as the surplus money that Texas has been talking about, has there been any talks of it funneling to any businesses, any type of those programs? Because a lot of times when money is had, certain people get the money and then they tell us, after the fact, like, hey, you could have had a chance. But just trying to figure out if there's any legislation going towards business.
Well, that's a great question. So for those who may not know, we have a $33 billion surplus plus over 11 billion in our state's rainy day fund, the kind of funds we've never ever seen before, not even a fraction of it. So to your question, there has been talk of property tax refunds to help out with that. There's also been talk of fund raising for our retired teachers, long overdue in terms of a cost of living increase. There's been talk of things like that, but specifically, we're going through the appropriations process now. The appropriations committee is meeting in the House and the Senate, and unlikely that we will see some of that money in our hubs, but that is something that we as a legislative Black Caucus are advocating for. And we have, some members on the appropriations committee, and we are doing everything we can. Two things specifically as it relates to Black Texans in money. One is to make sure that we invest more resources into the hub program and the procurement aspect of it. And then two is to fully fund our HBCUs, namely Prairie View A&M and Texas Southern University. So those are two of the things that we are specifically asking for as it relates to Black Texans. There's other things, but those two things are specific, and we're going to continue to do everything we can to make sure that a part of this largesse is reinvested back in the Black community, and that is something that we are intentional and mindful of and fighting in this tough climate to see.
All right, Lorenzo, who do you have? You're responsible for passing it on.
Man, that's a big role. I see Edwin Miles, Mr. Edwin Miles at the top.
I knew if I turned that camera on, I would be next.
Yeah, that was strategic, guys.
It was. Hi, I'm Edwin Miles, and I'm the chairman and CEO of the Alamo City Black Chamber of Commerce. My representative is Barbara Gervin Hawkins, and look forward to working with you and seeing you when we're in Austin later this month. Let's go with Abdullah El Bay.
Good morning. How everyone doing? I'm the chairman over Greater Southwest Black Chamber of Commerce. Linda Gray is my president.
Good deal. Thanks, brother. Since you're on the phone, I'm going to pass it to Rhonda Tyler, another one of our great volunteers.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. Ms. Matt stated, I am just along for the ride as a volunteer and like a sponge, just absorb information to help spread through our communities and be of support with my actions or presence as much as I can. And so I'm just excited to be a part of this call today. I appreciate it.
Okay.
And I do plan on coming to Austin end of the month.
Good. Appreciate that. Now you're on your computer, so you have to pass it to someone.
I recognize a face, Corpus Christi Black Chamber of Commerce.
Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Coretta Graham, Corpus Christi Black Chamber of Commerce, President, CEO. The fight is real.
Coretta know all about those fights. Me and her go back to my days as president of the Missouri City NAACP. And she's been in the trenches for a long time, so I know she understands about a good fight.
Good deal. Can you see? It looks like you're on your phone, Coretta, so I'll pass it on. I see we have Denton on the line, Mr. Kerry Goree.
Again, thank you for joining us, Representative Reynolds. My name is Kerry Goree. I'm up here in Denton County. I'm the chairman of the board of the Denton County Black Chamber of Commerce. I like what you're saying. One of my concerns is that I feel a lot of the the youth look at us as dinosaurs, guys my age, Charles age. Some of you are younger or older than us. And I know our voice is being heard because individuals like the governor of Texas, Florida wouldn't be making these statements. But my concern is the younger people that we need to take the baton, are so mixed with so many different entities, statements, slogans like mixed. We are mixed. We're not black anymore. These are things that trouble me, where our numbers are becoming smaller and smaller. And sometimes we feel like our voice, our chambers, our statements are not being heard. And I like what you said. We must be proud of saying we're African Americans. We are black. And that's the fact. And we're not going to turn back. And I'm not going to preach. I'm going to just pass it on.
Let's see who else we can have here. Sharon Douglas. Would you like to make introductions?
Yes, good afternoon. I just want to say thank you so very much for introducing us, Rev, because I am the chair of the 4th Metropolitan Black Chamber. Our president is Michelle Green Ford, which basically I'm sitting in for her today. But I'm really glad I'm on the call. Charles, I thank you so much for everything that you're doing. And please, if you don't mind, if it has been out there, the calendars of what's going on. So, Charles, I'm committed to seeing you in Austin.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Douglas. Thank you for all the work that you do, that you do in Fort Worth, not only at the Fort Worth Metropolitan Black Chamber, but in all the other organizations you are, as with your work in the construction business. So you are definitely a social that's doing great work in the community. Well, Representative Reynolds, if there's no one else, did we miss anyone else? I want us to get back to our discussion, back to Mr. Hayes and Charles O'Neill. Let's go back to the discussion on Charles. I'll give you back the microphone.
Yeah,
legislative.
Thank you again. And Rep, I appreciate that background on the surplus, and I think folks somehow have been led to believe that it's some magic pot of money, right? This is revenue from not only sales tax and property tax, it's also money returned from the federal government to the state. So it's already our money. And what has happened is Lorenzo asked the question, had there been any provisions made for how this money is going to be returned to the citizens of Texas? Yes. And you know how my mouth is. White folks have a plan for how to spend the money, and it does not include us, right? And so, no, your businesses are not included. However, there are several programs in the governor's small business office that are funded by return that aren't being utilized. So kind of give us a background, if you will, Rep, on the constitution of those funds that are being termed a surplus. What percentage of it is sales tax? What part of it is, again, general revenue? And where the rest of this money is coming from? I know a lot of it was money returned to the state.
Right. So I can get it for you. I don't have it in front of me. I don't want to misquote anything, but I could get the numbers specifically for you. But let me just say this at the outset. A lot of the revenue is based on two things. One is oil and gas revenue from, quite frankly, a lot of the extreme prices and profits that our oil and gas companies in Texas were making. For two, the billions of dollars that the federal government under the Biden administration sent to Texas, due in no part to the Republicans. In fact, all Republicans voted against it. And so a lot of that stimulus money, a lot of that money from COVID, it came from the federal government. So we have a record number record surplus in our budget above and beyond what we need to operate the state. And so through the appropriations process, we decide how that revenue is going to be allocated. I'll give you an example. During the 83rd legislative session, we had a $5.4 billion deficit. I mean, more than that, but we cut $5.4 billion from our schools. This time we have a $33 billion surplus. So there is no cuts. We have to decide how we're going to spend it. When I say we, the legislators, that is our job to appropriate the budget for the next 2 years, what they call the biennium. And so we do that with our colleges, universities, roads, bridges, our DPS, everything. I mean, we are in charge of allocating, putting pen to paper and allocating what are we going to do with our budget. And so one of the things that we have to, or we should be doing, is looking at how we reinvest in it to make sure it reaches the people who need it, not just the well-off and the well-to-do. They always have corporate loopholes that they receive, tax shelters and all that kind of stuff. There's also, you'll hear a lot of talk about border funding, Governor Abbott throwing money for the border. There'll be all kind of other pet projects that they do, but we need to make sure that that money, our money, I mean, not their money, our money is being reinvested and allocated so that it reaches us as Black folks. And that is something that we have to make sure that our state is holding true to. Now, I can tell you this, that traditionally we have to fight for every penny that we get for Texas Southern University, Prairie View A&M. We have to fight. I mean, they don't just say, oh yeah, UT, A&M, Texas Tech, University of Houston, no problem. They don't have to fight. They don't have to, argue and do everything they can. We have to go to the mat with them. We have to beg and squeeze and please and do this and dance. So we have to make sure that our priorities and our needs are met from this appropriations process. And then there's other things as well. But to Lorenzo's point and to Charles's point, even though I don't have the exact breakout, it is broken up into different articles in terms of the budget, and you have different people. But at the end of the day, the people who are on the conference committee are the ones who generally decide what gets in the budget. I voted against the budget in the past when I felt like they were lowballing Texas Southern University, when they were cutting funding for our public schools. And so this budget right here, in order for me to support it, I want to see specifically where are we investing in working families. And you can't say specifically when it comes to this state, Blacks, but you can't say underrepresented communities. You can't say minorities. And so that is something that I'm intentional about. And we all need to be asking those questions that Lorenzo raised. Where is the money going? And the devil's in the details. When you show me your budget and your spending, you show me your priorities. And that is something that, as the conscience of the House, the Texas Legislative Black Caucus is fully equipped to be at the table in trying to get those funds to go where they need to go. So that is what I can tell you. The sausage is being made as we speak. The Appropriations Committee is meeting daily. We have not got a proposed budget yet. That should be soon. And then we'll have a negotiation on the floor. There'll be riders and amendments that'll be presented. I'll be presenting some. If it's left out of the budget that I'll be asking for, more than likely, I'm just going to be real with y'all. They will be voted down. They will be voted down. I'm just going to be honest with you. But it won't be for lack of effort, and we won't not try because we think we won't win. We're going to do everything we can to make sure that we, as Black folks, have every opportunity to get a piece of the pie that's out there. It is our pie that we should be sharing in, and not just the governor who looks out for the top 3%, the millionaires and billionaires. Those are the people that are making large campaign contributions. Those are the political action committees and special interest groups that funnel large sums of money through his campaign. Quite frankly, those are the people he's looking out for. So we have to be the voice for the other folks that aren't those big donors to Abbott and Patrick. We have to be the voice for them and the watchdog for them. And that is why it's so important that we're here on Black Business Day at the Capitol, while we're here for the Texas Legislative Black Caucus Summit, so we can have those advocacy days and demand our rightful share of our dollars that are being spent this session.
Thanks, Chief. Thanks, Chief. Charles, any other questions?
No, I think that I think that covered it, Matt. But I would like one more time for Rep to kind of give us some guidance on how we wake people up to this situation. I mean, it does not appear that preachers are preaching it. I don't know that, but I know during last session when the voter suppression bills were on, there was a lot of mobilization around it, a walk from Round Rock or Georgetown all the way down to the Capitol, to no avail. But nonetheless, there was energy around that issue and those particular voter suppression issues. I always say, man, the Capitol should be just a ring around there with Black folk saying, no, you can't use our money like this. I think that's what. How do we light a fire under these folk, Rep?
Charles, I stay up late at night and get up early in the morning, sometimes thinking about that very question. And I'll be honest with you, I wish I had the answer. I think it's all hands on deck. It's not a one size fits all, but each one reach one, and all of us have a responsibility. It takes a village to make sure that we're reaching someone and bringing them along with us. So it baffles me when I see so much apathy, and then people complain about what's wrong. Why are we not getting results? When I challenge back sometimes, where were you when we did this, or where were you when we did that? They weren't there. And on this call, I know I'm preaching to the choir, because you all are what Du Bois described as the talented 10th. You all are the ones that are on the front line, but we need reinforcements. We need more people on the battlefield. And that's a rallying cry that all of us can participate in, and with the hope that we can get larger numbers and that we can mobilize and empower people to be at the table instead of on the menu. And that is going to be something that I impress upon all of you, to reach back in your respective communities, to encourage others to join us in this fight. And instead of, complaining about it, and then we do the work and then they benefit from it. No more free rides, right? Everyone has to pay their fair share. If you get an Uber, you ain't getting no free ride. You got to pay. And so we can't continue to be Uber for all these others. Even though I know we're going to do it, it's not fair that we have to do it alone. We're all in this together. And that's why it's important for everyone to step in. And everyone, it's not equal in giving, as the pastor said, it's equal in sacrifice. So someone may not be able to come to Austin, but they can make a phone call. They can send a donation. They can do something. Everyone can do their part. And that's why it's important that all of us, educate about why it's so important, why we're relevant. I've had to make that case when I was president of the NAACP, why we're still relevant. Why are we still relevant? Why do we still need these advocacy groups? Because you got on the other side, they got real advocacy groups that are well funded, with large dark money, right? And they are there to demolish us and wipe out DEI programs and MWB and HUB program. They're there to dismantle all of that. And so that is why we have to speak out And that is why it's so important that we work together collaboratively as a unit to bring about this change. So that is why I'm fired up, and that's why I'm excited to be on with you all today and stand in solidarity with you on Black Business Day at the Capitol and beyond. But certainly let's look forward to meeting at the Capitol on March 30th, I believe is the date. And then again on April 2nd is the chairman's reception. April 3rd is all of the breakout sessions and our gala. And then April 4th is a day of advocacy, another day of advocacy. So I certainly hope that I will look forward to seeing you all here. And anything that I can do, don't hesitate to reach out to me or my office, and we'll be happy to get the information back to Matt or Charles. They know how to reach me, and we'll be happy to provide any information that we didn't get a chance to provide today. We want to be a resource, and then our members as well. So you'll hear from us on Black Business Day at the Chamber, and you'll hear from us again at the Legislative Black Caucus Summit. So those are some exciting times, and I'm looking forward to a record turnout, not just showing up, but showing out.
On the 30th, we will have our legislative policy breakfast, in which we will have our legislators who are doing the advocacy work have an exclusive meeting for us, for chamber leaders. And Charles, how else are we going to aim this? Are we going to have this as our board meeting here during the morning, or wait till the afternoon?
Again, yeah. Thank you, Matt. We're trying to come up with the appropriate incentive to get, as best we can, all 30 Black chambers in the state represented in the building that day. And so you have to give me just another minute. I know the 30th is not that far away, but one of the things that we've discussed, Mr. Chairman and I, we've not quite crystallized on how we best accomplish it. But one of the things we've discussed is granting one free hotel night up to $150 to a leader or a group from your respective chambers, just so that we can get all Black chambers in the room. So we will have what we've called a policy breakfast on that morning. We'll hear from Representative Reynolds and or his designee, because we do have him in our program a couple of times throughout the day. But so stand by for how we might incentivize, again, at least a representative from every chamber being present for Black Business Day at the Capitol, in addition to your responsibility to encourage your members to attend. Last month, earlier this month, we had the first of our regional kind of workshops, and we were introduced to a dynamic young sister who runs the Prairie View A&M University Small Business Development Center. D. Moore knows that we've been in West Texas. We had Calvin Davis, who runs the SBA office in Lubbock, West Texas. But we're trying to cultivate these relationships with small business development centers. So we look to have representatives from small business development centers with us on Black Business Day, one, because of our community navigator program. I got a call on my way back from Austin last week. The regional director for SBA, Ted James, who has been on this call with us in the past, wants to come and be present and have some role on our program. So we think that that's some attraction to encourage our business owner members to come. And then we're also asking a representative from the governor's office for small business to be with us. I think that I'll hear back from her either today or tomorrow on her schedule. Any other programming ideas that you have that would encourage your members to be present on Black Business Day, certainly would like to hear them. So that is Thursday, March 30th. So just an FYI note, Representative Reynolds just noted that the African American Summit starts that Sunday night with their awards program and then programming on Monday and Tuesday. But on Friday and Saturday, Houston-Tillotson University is hosting what they've called HBCU Fair number 2 or Conference 2. They did host it last year as well. We have accepted the challenge of providing a program or a panel program during that HBCU Fair. So again, on behalf of the Black Chambers of Commerce across our state and in coordination with Greater Austin Black Chamber, Tam Hawkins, we're putting together a workshop panel that kind of addresses some of what Mr. Gorey raised earlier about how we attract young business leaders or young leaders in our community, and selfishly to the work that we do. So we know that across the board, Black Chambers of Commerce have very short bench, if you will. If I use a sports analogy, got a short bench, not a big pipeline for future leadership. And we want to, as best we can, lay out a framework that can be used for developing future leaders. Again, subsequently to the work that we do as advocacy organizations. Everybody wants to be a millionaire, but nobody wants to help anybody else be a millionaire. You know, and so we won't get there without help. If we use, again, the old saying, and it takes a village. Well, we are the village, and we got to make sure that the village is repopulated. And I tell folks all the time, this is a real gray beard I got. This ain't no fake gray beard. You know, so
it's funny you see that, Charles. Your camera's off for some reason, I think. Or I don't see it on mine. There we go.
This is a real gray beard, right? So anyway, that's kind of a framework of about 5 days from Thursday to Tuesday that we will have a very, very active and large presence in Austin from Black Business Day all the way through the final days of Legislative Black Caucus. Also, and I think Representative Reynolds would entertain this. I know each of the 18 now representatives in the House and the 2 in the Senate each year recognize business leaders from their communities or leaders from their communities in their Outstanding Texan event. So when your representative knows you and the work that you're doing in your community, it really provides an opportunity for you to have one of your community leaders being recognized by the Texas Legislative Black Caucus. That's kind of the thumbnail there, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the update. I'm looking forward to seeing everyone in Austin on March 30th. Also, this is when we will have our first board meeting for this quarter. We'll have our quarterly meetings. We will have this during the day on the 30th, either in the morning or that afternoon after the day. So, chamber leaders, please. We're not going to stay an extra day, so you all can get back to your cities and come back to Austin the next weekend. Or if you like to have a 5-day stretch, Austin is a beautiful city. So please be in attendance for our board meeting, as we will provide all of our organizational updates as well.